Award recipient Jonathan Wolfson was raised in New York. He received a bachelor's degree from Emory University and a law degree and MBA from New York University's Stern School of Business. As a college freshman at Emory, and that's pretty early to be a freshman and think about this, Jonathan dreamed of starting a biotech company that would change the world. 10 years later, he co-founded Solazyme. He had a grand vision to take one of the world's smallest organisms, microalgae, and use it to revolutionize some of the world's largest industries. Today, that pioneering vision is a reality. Solazyme has reached true commercial scale, with operating facilities on multiple continents producing commercial quantities of renewable oils from microalgae. Using standard industrial fermentation, Solazyme is able to turn plant-based sugars, like sucrose from sugarcane and dextrose from corn, into entirely new sources of healthy food ingredients and oils in a matter of days. Jonathan was positioned Solazyme to succeed across a variety of vertical industries, from food to skin care, from industrials to liquid fuels, making the company first to market with the algae-based ingredients for chemicals and biofuels. He has directed Solazyme's overall strategy and execution since inception, leading Forbes to name him as one of the 12 most disruptive names in business. And I know he likes that. Biofuels Digest named him the #1 CEO in the top 100 people in the bioeconomy. And in November 2014, under Jonathan's leadership, Solazyme was awarded the highest honor of the Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Award for its groundbreaking microalgae bio-based renewable oils and ingredients platform. So today, it's my pleasure to present the George Washington Carver Award to Jonathan Wolfson, CEO of Solazyme. So Jonathan, can you please join us?
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak up here. The remarks by Brent, wow, I sound like something, huh? And really appreciate the governor in the state of Iowa, Bio, and lots of other folks, but I have a couple thank yous embedded in my comments anyway, so I'll get to those. I do sincerely appreciate the recognition. I've spent most of my adult life in industrial biotechnology and on building Solazyme. And it feels really good to win this award. You know, Brent referenced this, but my story and Solazyme's is, in fact, really a garage story. Harrison and I did meet when we were freshmen in college in the late 80s, so I'm dating myself there. And we did indeed start talking about how we hoped that biotechnology could really change the world and improve the planet. It was actually 14 years of various discussions and planning before 2003 when we decided to jump off the cliff. I lived in New York and bought a $600 car on Craigslist, drove across country, moved in with my co-founder and his wife, and shared a couch with a dog. Very true, I assure you. Along the way, me personally, as well as Solazyme, well, innumerable mistakes. If I had to count them and go through them, we'd be here for longer than the few minutes that I'm supposed to be standing. I did receive an on-the-job PhD by attending hundreds of lab meetings along the way. And a few more thank yous here. Let me begin by thanking the true hero that made this possible. And some of you are going to be looking at my wife, who is here, and thank you, but that's not who I'm talking about. Microalgae is the true hero. Microalgae is responsible for life as we know it. Microalgae is actually the foundation of all plant life and Earth's original oil producer. the original superfood as well. Beyond microalgae, I have a few other thank yous. Jerry Fiddler, who's here, who actually seated us out of said garage. The team at Solazyme, and many great partners and investors, quite a few of whom are here. Specifically, I'll mention Bunge, Unilever, Mitsui, and ADM. Lots and lots of others as well. And even though you got a little bit of it, I'll give you a quick background on Solazyme. Although, after more than 12 years, I'll still say that it's early days. Today, we're partnered with and selling to some of the largest companies in the world. And we're selling across markets. We're selling food ingredients, including heart-healthy oils, powders, and proteins, personal care ingredients, such as better and more sustainable oils for soaps. Unilever's been a key partner with us there. Branded cosmetic products that you can find in Sephora and on QVC and other places, our Alginist line. Much more sustainable, high-performance oil-filled chemicals like our Encapso line. And believe it or not, we are selling fuels and a variety of other things as well. Now, I promise you, and there's plenty of investors in the room, we did not set out to develop products this broadly. But this is a true case of follow the technology. And you get to ask the question, why? Why have we done this? And even more personally and specifically, what's gotten me out of bed with, I think, a spring in my step almost all mornings over the last 12 years? And the answer is that our world needs what we collectively in this room are doing. Our planet needs to feed, clothe, and fuel over 9 billion people in just a few short decades, and in a far more sustainable way than it's currently being done. And I'm looking at a room full of innovators and people who I would say are doing very important things. And I want to make a key distinction. In this room, we make things. In this room, we make things. Physical things. Important things. Things like, fuels, food, cleaning products, and chemicals used in just about anything that you can think of. Now, given the winds where I live in Silicon Valley, making things, unless they're beautiful cars, is a lot less sexy than making an app, a social networking platform, or even an online retailer. But it is so much more important. And using biotechnology, we make our products better for people and critically better for the planet. And that's what's gotten me out of bed with a spring in my step for the last 12 years. This world needs what we in this room are focused on. And I'll repeat in a way again for my fellow journeymen and women that in order to do this, we have to forget instant or frankly even medium-term gratification a lot of the time. Pretty much everything will take longer and be harder. But when it works, and some things will work, and some things will far exceed all expectations, it's worth it. I really believe that from the bottom of my heart. I'm also a big believer that we must follow the technology. I'll give you a very quick story. Many of you know that we started the company to make low-carbon fuels, still very important to us. But at under $60 a barrel for petroleum today, with no long-term energy policy in the U.S., fuels cannot be Solazyme's main economic driver. Some years back, we were looking to make the ideal biodiesel. We were speaking with a bunch of biodiesel manufacturers and asking them about their pain points, and they were telling us they needed biodiesel that would perform well at very cold temperatures. We screened hundreds, thousands of strains and developed an oil profile that produced a really nice biodiesel that worked well at cold temperatures. But as time goes on, we developed better strains. Frankly, we developed better oils. But a year or two later, we went back and looked at that first oil profile. And what we realized was, in order to make something that performed at cold temperatures well as biodiesel, we'd actually made a profile that looked almost exactly like olive oil. That flipped a switch for me and for other people. And we realized that not only was fuel a very important goal, and still a very important goal, but there were other major problems on the planet, not only feeding people, but doing it in a better and much healthier way. Heart disease and obesity being massive problems all over the world, and particularly in the developed world. So we spent the last 4 years developing what we believe is the planet's heart-healthiest oil. We drove up an oil to over 90% healthy monounsaturated fats and under 4% saturated fat, with a smoke point, and for any of you who are either chefs or aspiring chefs, of almost 500 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning that you can cook all kinds of things with it. Ultimately, my point here, though, is that there are a lot of ways to create value. And there are a lot of ways to make a difference. And following the technology is one very good way to deliver on the promise. Now, I'm going to conclude my remarks with a perspective, with a very personal perspective, which is that optimism is contagious and optimism is absolutely necessary. I've spent the last 10 or 15 years identifying and surrounding myself with people that I term pragmatic optimists. At Solazyme, we often talk about what's possible, and the truth is that what's possible is far more than most people think. Thank you.